Level 5 have said that they want Inazuma 11 Victory Road to be an esport. So, to help push the competitive nature of the game, they hosted an in-person tournament for the beta. The full live stream of every stage of the tournament can be found on their YouTube channel, but it's all in Japanese. So I thought I'd recap the final day so that all of you non-Japanese speaking losers, like me, can enjoy it as well. As I am unfortunately too stupid and lazy to speak Japanese, for any information that I couldn't discern from just watching the stream, I have asked the all-powerful divine wisdom of Twitter for. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what happened in Level 5's official Inazuma 11 Victory Road Beta Tournament. So, first of all, before we can even get to talking about the matches in the final, how did we get to this point? How did Level 5 select the 8 supposed greatest Inazuma 11 Victory Road players that Japan had to offer? Well, they did it through 4 regional tournaments, each consisting of the 32 supposed strongest players from that region, who they chose using the weekly score you can get from participating in ranked matches. So, the 32 best players from each region were chosen to compete in the 4 regional tournaments. Then, the 2 players who made it to the final of that regional tournament progressed to the final tournament, an 8-player event consisting of only the best of the best. Let's meet the 8 Titans then, the 8 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, all of whom were introduced in the single coolest way possible. If this is how I'm introduced at my wedding, something has gone right. So from the first regional tournament, Kyushu, there's Ishin and Yoshitomo. Yoshitomo did this when he walked on, which instantly makes him my favourite. From Kansai, we've got Futter and Garth. Then we've got the 2 from Kanto, Nori and Afro. Afro being the only Inazuma 11 player ever to actually touch a football and thus presumably grass as well. And finally, from Hokkaido, we've got Kage and Sado. And so, with the Inazuma 11 Avengers assembled, we can begin the draw. But oh, wait, there's a twist. This fella takes the stage and is inserted into the event. A 9th player? What is going on? Who is this man? Where did he come from? Why is he here? Why doesn't he get to be in cosplay? Well, I asked Twitter, and apparently this man has been sent in as an assassin, representing the Big Ray Dark himself. His name is Shatuke, and he finished 3rd in the Kanto regional tournament. And I guess something about him just screamed evil to Level 5, hence why they've decided to put him in this tournament as the physical representation of Inazuma 11's version of Satan. So, with Shatuke inserted into proceedings, this is the final draw. As you can see, it's a pretty simple top 8, except Kage has to play an additional preliminary match against our reigning assassin to prove his worth. And if you're wondering why Sado's name is so long, apparently it translates to Sado at Sangokan Dreams Big. He's a big Sangokan fan, I guess. I mean, who isn't? And now it's time for the first match. And immediately, 5 minutes in, the mischief maker, the devil himself, Shatuke, gets off a big, super effective legendary wolf straight at Kage's Mark Evans, and it looks like Chaos was about to get an early win when... And well, I wish I could say the rest of the match was as exciting as that first 5 minutes, but it ended 0-0, and Kage won on the whole advantage decision system Level 5 recently added. The assassin was assassinated. Next up, Kage took the stage again, this time against Ishin, the winner of the Kyushu tournament. The first half got off to a cagey start, with neither player managing to make any kind of dent in the other's keeper gorge. That was until Ishin whipped out a disaster strike from Xanark, dealing a massive chunk to Kage's mark. Ishin followed it up with a pacey counter-attack, and a regular shot from a Sean with type advantage, but Kage's God Hand V managed to stop a goal that was starting to feel inevitable. Now, what Kage needed was to take a second and slow the game down so that he could get back into it. Yeah, so not that. Thanks to the greatest timing ever, Kage managed to ride out the 0-0 to the second half, but over the course of the first half, he had struggled to mount any kind of attack against the Titan that was Ishin. He would need a miracle. He did not get that. That goal ended up being the match decider, and Ishin made his way straight into the semi-finals. Kage's time at the tournament had come to an end. Next up, a redo of the final of the Kanto regional tournament. Nori versus Afro. Last time they met, Nori won 2-1. Would the same happen this time, or could Afro get his revenge? The match started positively for Nori, who Zanark laid the first big blow on Afuro's Keeper Gorge. Afro tried to respond with a spinning shot that he changed with a regular shot from Sean, but some well-placed castle walls almost completely nullified it. After a few more shots back and forth that failed to leave a mark, it was a legendary Wolf long shot from Nori that finally broke the deadlock and gave him the lead going into the second half. The second half got off to a quiet start, but it was a regular shot from Bylong at an incredibly tight angle that got Afro back on level terms in the 20th minute. Despite this though, it looked like it was going to be too little too late. But then, something possessed Afro, and in the true Inazuma 11 clutch spirit, he embarked on an all-out assault on Nori's Keeper Gorge, and whilst he couldn't quite get that winning goal, he did manage to do enough to where he won on the judge's ruling after the match ended 1-1. The grass toucher had got his revenge. Next up was the Samguk Handstand versus Garth. Neither player had managed to win their regional tournament, so whoever went through from here would probably be seen as a bit of an underdog moving forward. Garth's legendary Wolf landed the first blow of the match, and he followed it up with a disaster strike from Zanark, which Sado managed to stop thanks to a capable hand from his majestic king. However, Garth's assault didn't end there, and a regular shot from Sean that initially looked like it would just be a little chip to Sam's Keeper Gorge ended up being the decisive blow thanks to an unfortunately timed breach. We were less than 15 minutes into the first half, and Garth had already taken the lead. Sado wasn't going to go down without a fight though, and he managed to almost immediately pull off a triple shot chain, only for it to end up in the path of the iron wall that is Scotty Banyan, who promptly reduced it to ashes. Another great block from Scotty at the end of the half ensured that Garth went into the break with a 1-0 lead, but despite his great start, it didn't look the most convincing. The second half started off relatively even, before a huge dragon drive from Garth's Bylong smashed past Sado's Mark Evans and doubled Garth's lead. And from that point, there was very little that Sado could do, and the biggest Samguk Han fan that has ever been found was eliminated from the tournament. The final match of the quarterfinals would see Kansai's champion Futter take on Yoshi Tomo, the man who did this as he walked on. I know who I'm rooting for. 13 minutes in, Futter drew first blood, utilizing both type advantage and an unusual angle to deal a huge chunk to Yoshitomo's Keeper Gorge with a regular shot from Bylong. 9 minutes later, Yoshitomo tried the same thing, only to come up against Darren's God Hand, completely nullifying his attack. At the end of the first half, he managed to deal his first significant blow, a regular shot from Zine. At halftime, there was barely anything separating the two. It was all still to play for. 11 minutes into the second half, Futter chained a spinning shot with a regular shot from Sean and fired it towards Yoshitomo's goal. It looked destined to hit the back of the net, but a well-timed God Hand managed to prevent what was starting to seem inevitable. But then Yoshitomo remembered his training and launched the counter-attack to end all counter-attacks, quickly firing in a disaster strike that obliterated Samguk Han and gave him the lead. Somewhere backstage, Sado was heard shedding a tear. There were 10 minutes left of the second half, and all Yoshitomo had to do was hold on for dear life. He did not do that. 3 minutes left, and it seemed like whoever got off the next shot would probably win the match. But in a shocking conclusion, neither did, and the judges ended up ruling in favor of Futter. He would go through to the semi-finals. And so, only 4 were left. Our semi-finalists: Ishin, Afuro, Futter, and Garth. The first semi-final saw Kyushu's champion, Ishin, take on the king of revenge himself, Afuro. 4 minutes in, and Ishin was quick to land a devastating direct shot from Zanark, dealing a huge chunk to Afuro's Keeper Gorge. Afuro's response from Bylong didn't manage to deal anywhere near as much damage, but an almost immediate follow-up from Sean helped knock Ishin's Gorge to below his own. Unfortunately for Afuro though, this seemed to accomplish nothing except awaken the beast, as Ishin channeled his inner Jigsaw and toyed with his opponent, playing a game of piggy in the middle around Afuro's box before landing the decisive blow with one of the coldest overhead kicks you'll ever see. 1-0 Ishin. This was not enough for Ishin, however. He was not content with just one goal. He demanded more. Fortissimo foot chained with a direct shot from Zanark. Fuck your Keeper Gorge. 2-0. Oh, sorry, you wanted to fight back? You thought you stood a chance? Disaster strike from Zanark. Fuck your Keeper Gorge. It is weak and pathetic. Note how Ishin's face hasn't moved this entire time. He is locked in. He only has one thing on his mind: destruction. The second half began and Ishin was still firmly in the driving seat, quickly getting a third goal thanks to a Sean direct shot. Afuro finally managed to capitalize on his early success and get one back, but again, note how Ishin didn't even react. This didn't faze him. Nothing phases a true warrior. Spinning shot, fire tornado, fortissimo foot, direct shot from Sean, quadruple chain. Oh, God Hand V? Cute. Fuck you. 4-1. And so, after delivering one of the most dominant Victory Road performances you will ever see, Ishin was into the final. But who would join him? The second semi-final saw Futter and Garth take each other on in a redo of the Kansai Regional Tournament final. There, Futter had won 2-0, but this time Garth was arguably in the better form, having soared into the semis while Futter had just about gotten through. And to kick the first half off, Garth fired off a disaster strike chained with a Sean direct shot, but was stopped in his tracks by a combination of the wall and God Hand. Futter responded with a legendary wolf that looked to almost completely destroy Garth's keeper gorge, but an incredibly lucky save kept things even. And even the first half stayed, with both players going into half-time having barely left a scratch on the other despite getting off plenty of shots. This second half was going to be huge. And it was Futter who managed to deal the first big blow, a disaster strike from Zanark that Garth's Samguk Ham struggled to handle. As the second half went on, Futter kept up the assault, chaining Meteor Blade, Fortissimo Foot, and a direct shot from Zanark to give himself the lead. And with only 5 minutes left and Futter's keeper gorge still full, there was very little that Garth could do, with his night being made even worse after a Doomsword Slash, spinning shot, and disaster strike chain doubled his opponent's advantage. 2-0 to Futter, and the final was decided. And so, after some announcements by Hino, which you can learn more about in this video, the finalists took to the stage. Kyushu's champion Ishin versus Kansai's Futter. One of these two elite gamers would leave this stage the champion of Japan, but who would it be? The match immediately got off to a tense start, with some shaky build-up play from Ishin, resulting in his goalkeeper having to win a focus duel in order to prevent an immediate goal. This expression says it all. It was not the start he wanted. 2 seconds later though, and Ishin was back on the attack, with Zanark's direct shot dealing the first scratch to Futter's keeper gorge. He followed it up with a legendary wolf that Futter just about managed to survive thanks to Mark's God Hand. Despite an early stumble, Ishin was now firmly on top. 25 minutes in, and it was Futter's time to shine, with a disaster strike from Zanark. With type advantage against Ishin's Samguk, this shot could be huge. But it wasn't to be. And the swiftest counterattack of all time saw Ishin fire in his own disaster strike to take the lead. Not the best 10 seconds for Futter. A solid Doomsword Slash from Futter kickstarted the second half, slicing down Ishin's keeper gorge, and a Fire Tornado double drive in the 22nd minute seemed like it was destined to get things back on equal terms. But in Futter's way, he found a God Hand V, and with just over 5 minutes left, all Ishin had to do was keep hold of the ball and the championship would be his. And as he fired in one last triple shot chain and the clock kept rising, you could feel that the match was over. And even though he didn't end up scoring that second goal, the chain wasted just about enough time so that as soon as it was saved and Futter could start thinking about launching a counterattack, the match was over. Ishin was the champion of Level 5's first Inazuma 11 Victory Road Beta tournament. He was the champion of Japan. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, but for now, goodbye.